Great evenings, my dear friends, fellow travelers and photographers. Chrisley here. A good evening to every one of you. A week has passed, and today I'm going to introduce you my travel journey to Northern Xinjiang on the third episode. Today will be another very exciting episode of my travelogues, because in Northern Xinjiang, besides in my first two episodes, will share with you a distinctly different type of landscape and as well as scenery. Now in this third episode, I'm going to share with you again a very unique landform, which they call it Yadang landform. Alright, for those of you not sure what I mean, not to worry, just stay tuned to this channel. And Christy Travel Channel is strictly tailored to suit those viewers who are actually have intention to plan their future journey, the travel destinations, seek to have more information of the place and more images. Then this travel channel is for you, right? And the travel channels, my travelogues are uploaded on a weekly basis. And so far, we have covered 6 nations. If you have not your first time to my travel channel, please do log into my travel channel to view all my travelogues of the previous 30 episodes. And let's move on to our next slide, right? So these episodes, we are going to share with you 3 unique landforms and in this Northern Xinjiang. Now, each of it with its unique features. For example, we have this, and they've been calling them the Rainbow's Beach. I will explain you later on in more detail, but this is one of the spots I'm going to share with you. Next one is also a very exciting spot and also a travel destination in Northern Xinjiang. They call it Ghost City or Devil City. And lastly, a place where not known to many, including the local, a very unique landform also sighted in Northern Xinjiang. Please stay tuned with me until the end of this episode. I'm sure that you will not be disappointed with today what I'm going to introduce to you. So Northern Xinjiang is basically fall under the Xinjiang province and is actually located at the northwesternmost of China. It's the largest province of China, that taking up 1/6 of the landmass of China. And we are now sharing with you the visiting of all these 3 places, all located in the area color red, the red zone, the Northern Xinjiang. And here we are actually visiting those places north of this Tian Shan mountain range and south of the Altai mountain range. We are sandwiched between these 2 mountain range in Xinjiang. And under the one basin is a Jiangga Basin. So the first city or first place I'm going to introduce to you today is basically a town called Burqin. Alright, Burqin. Stay tuned, I will share you of all these 3 very interesting places in Northern Xinjiang. Now, let's share about some of the facts about this Burqin, so-called Wucaitan. It's actually a name given, the Chinese name called Wucaitan, and some people like to call it 5-color beach, if we direct translate, or some people call it the Rainbow Beach. Burqin, right, is where this tourist spot are located nearby. It's a city located at the southwestern foothill of Altai mountain range, right, north of Jiangga Basin in Northern Xinjiang. Now the city share the same name, of course, basically is sited next to a river called Arithesis, or rather in Mandarin name they call it Heliu or river, right? And which actually passing by the city, right? The weather and climate in this region is dry and hot during the summer, and is almost rainless and cold in the winter. Now, almost the whole year is almost rainless, but very, very windy. And almost the great difference between the day and the night temperature is very great, and it's all year round. And because of it's a windy region, therefore recently there are a lot of wind turbines have been built nearby to this tourist site to capitalize of the wind energy that's abundant in this area. So Wucaitan, the name given in Chinese, which translate as a five-color beach, or some people like to translate and call it Rainbow Beach. This popular tourist attraction in Northern Xinjiang, featuring unique lava landform, right, which consists of purplish red color, yellow and light green mudstone, sandstone, and gravel, located just next to the river I've just introduced to you just now. So let's do a visit to this developed, mature tourist spot in Northern Xinjiang, the Wucaitan in Mandarin. And let's look at these tourist maps that exhibit the various buildings that's built on this tourist spot, scenic spot. And you can see that color, those color in brownish color is basically is where all these multicolors rocks or so-called the landform are located, right? And you find it, and then you see a river just flowing by, and this is called the Arithesis River. And this river is the only river in China that flowing northwards to the North Sea, right? And you can see that in this place, this famous tourist spot itself, is best to stay still the evening and to view the sunset. And we have a chance to stay quite late in the evening, and therefore some of the pictures are taken during the evenings, late evening, where the sunset is taking place. And my visit to this place in the year 2014. So since then to now, I believe that there's a lot of development surrounding this tourist spot, and as well in this city. Please do explore the Xinjiang. Please do come to this city, Burqin. So this is the scene that you see. Just now I said the brownish color and the tourist map. And this basically is the scene of it, and you can see the river is right at the far end of it. So they have built quite a good walking path plan, but visitors are not allowed to step out of the guided walking path. That's why I say it's a well-developed tourist attraction center or spot in Northern Xinjiang. So just see some of these unique landforms that you can find in this area. So if a picture are taken after the rain, the color is even more vivid or more saturated. And of course also if images are taken during the late afternoon, the setting sun also make the color more vibrant. These are all the lava landform that can found around this Burqin Wucaitan popular spot. And you need basically half a day at least to explore. And as far if you are a photographer, then you will even take more times, because every corner can be a picturesque corner for a photographer, particularly if you are a landscape photographer. So these are the beautiful, well-built walking path, between the park. And at the far end is the forest, and this forest, I was told, they are planted a lot of desert popular tree, right? Desert popular tree. So this is the first journey, first stop, and next one we go to a town which is near to a town, they name it Karamay, right? So you can see that they're given a name in Chinese, Wucaitan, which basically translates into so-called a ghost city or even devil city. Why they're giving such a funny name, right? So let's move on to some images, and I will share with you exactly where the location of this Karamay. Now you look at the map here, Karamay is further south from the Burqin, the city that I just introduced to you, that located at the north, right? So the arrow pointed there, we are here. That is actually the Karamay. So what can you find from this ghost city? We tend to call them the Urho ghost city. And this is a given name to them, right? And why this name is given? Because of a howling wind. This area is windy as well as compared to Burqin. Is as good as Burqin. It's very, very strong wind over the entire days. And this wind then brings through this desert zone, creating a crying sound. And that's why it's called a ghost city. Now, is sometimes called as a Wuhi wind city because of abundance of wind. This unique tourist destination is located at northern edge of Yadang Basin, as I just now in my introductions. Now in northern Xinjiang, at a place known as Wuhi, about 100 km away from Karamay city. Now, Karamay city is a city that's famous for oil productions. The oil field is abundant. The oil is abundant underground, right? So while visiting this ghost city, you will realize that you can find a lot those so-called oil extraction machine nearby, thousands of them, extracting the oil, the petroleum in this case, I'm referred to, underneath the ground. Now, this place is one of the few typical wind erosions physiognomy in the world. Right? It is popular for its wind-eroded geological landform, and originally a Yadang landform. After years of erosions by wind and rainwaters, the raised stratum have been carved into a great earth mound, and which actually varies shape and size. So you can see later on in my images. And when you travel in this tourist destination, it's actually also another well-developed tourist destination in Northern Xinjiang. You will be provided a train ride, a sightseeing train ride. They bring you around the park. And after the park, then you are allowed to be free and easy to roam around within the park. But only one thing I have to caution you, this is just a big park, right? And you could easily get lost. Please bring along sufficient drinking water, and please make sure you recognize where you are going when you are roaming around freely on your own, right? That is something that you have to take note very, very carefully, because when you get lost and if you are unable to have enough waters, then you will be in trouble. So our stay in this park was actually the entire afternoon. In fact, we spent more than half a day, and on top of that, we are able to capture some very beautiful sunset scene as well in this spot. So this is the after enter the park. This is the first thing that comes to our view. You find that there are some camels. These camels are for visitors to ride on to take pictures, not for you to go into the park, but it's just for picture taking purposes. So you can see this is the earth mound, right, and then was in various shape as a result of wind erosion and rainwater erosions. Of course, rainwater erosion are very minimum. This literally is like a desert zone. So most of these images are taken either on the train rides as we're going around the park, or is when we are roaming around freely. At the end of the train ride, we spend another 2 hours roaming around between the park. So you can, from the images here, you can realize actually is basically a desert zone, right, with very little vegetation. The wind erosion had created all this unique creature, or rather, shape and size. I like to call it creature in a sense because it use your imagination. It can be in any form of creatures, that probably even creature from outer space. The skies almost cloudless. And be very careful when you are roaming around, and some of you may even attempt to climb on top of this earth mound. And I should say that observe the safety requirements, and take note of your footstep. And at the same time, don't just spend all your energy taking photo without realizing you can miss a step and you can just fall, right? And accidents do happen for some visitors because they are forgotten that they are in an area whereby the ground is very, very unstable, because you look at the condition of the site itself is basically it's a very, very wild piece of land. And when evening sun setting time, you can see the color getting more yellowish in colors. And these are the images taken close to the evening time. And if you're careful enough to look afar, you can see at the far end on the right top left corner, there are some smoke over the end there. This basically is the oil field nearby. And this is one of the images I like most. It's almost close to the evening, and the dark shadows, the contrast, give a very great contrast in this image, make it stand out. And this also another images that I like most is featuring like a human head. This is the only vegetation that you can find in this so-called the Devil City or the Ghost City. And you can see from this image is the last few images that I've taken, and you can see some of tourists have managed to climb up to the earth mound, right? And it give me take this picture, give you a sense of scale. You can see the size of a human being compared to this earth mound. And this basically I'm sharing with you the so-called the oil extraction machine. In Chinese, it's called a 磕头机 because it's moving up and down, you know. So there are thousands of them nearby. Okay, we have covered another very interesting landform, and the third one that I'll share with you is a very relatively unknown, not only to the foreigner but also to the local. I'm not sure now because during our visit in the year 2014, this area is still very primitive, and I should say that very few people are aware of this beautiful, unique landform, and they are given a name. If I'm not mistaken, is called Chaitan, which actually translates into a multicolored city. But I'm not sure whether it's still using the same name or not. And you can see from the image here, it is totally again and different from a landform compared to two earlier landforms I have just shown you. So let's move on to this unique landform. And the location of this place, I believe is actually because I didn't tag it, geotag it, so I do not know exactly. Without GPS tagging, I will just roughly estimate using my memory to recall roughly where the location of this unique place. I believe it's located at the lower third along the G216 highway, right? And within the vicinity of Gambantuan Gut Desert. It's a desert at the Northern Xinjiang, right? And it's very popular for photographers. I get to know this is also because from photographs exhibited by some other photographers. And the other thing is that during our visit, this area is still very primitive. There's no hotel, no accommodation, because it is at the middle of nowhere, you know, and there's no accommodation place. The only accommodation that we can find in this place is those rooms that built using container, right? And beside the container, if you have a choice to sleep in the tent in the middle of desert. So for sheer excitement, myself and my wife decided to stay, put the night in the tent, because you have a choice, either sleep in the container or you sleep in the tent. So we decided to sleep in the tent, and the tent came up to be a very small tent of 4 by 6 feet, and literally when squeezed both us into the tent itself, we had to leave our luggage outside the tent. Otherwise we will have problem with having a good rest for our head, or you may have to raise your legs and put your backpack or your bag at the bottom, at the base of your foot, right? So it's quite a small tent, and on top of that there's no toilets, and so in the middle of night you just have to wake up and go to anywhere, you know. Everywhere is toilets, you just go and pee, you know, and that is the excitement that we have while we are putting a night in the middle of deserts while traveling there. And our excitement is basically that there's in the morning we are given a small pail of water for us to wash, to brush our teeth, to wash our face. Nothing more, nothing that, just a small can of waters. So that is basically the excitement when we are visiting there in 2014, or probably it's 2013. I can't remember the year, but I think it's around that time. Still relatively unknown to a lot of visitors. I'm not sure now, right? So you have a chance to visit Northern Xinjiang, please explore this fascinating place where have a very, very unique landform, which I'm going to share with you in the image following now, right? So the location, roughly as indicated in this map, you can see is where on the right hand side, just above Urumqi. Is even from Urumqi to this place, unique places, it actually still take about quite a number of hours on the roads. So before we enter deep into this unique landform or this unique park, right? This is the landscape scene around the main roads. And then we reach the center portion of this park, right? Then we realize actually somebody is trying to build a viewing platform in one of the hilltop, and we managed to climb on top of that. The work is still in progress, construction is still in progress during our time of visit, so that we can have a better view or panoramic view of the entire unique landform exhibit in this piece of land. I'll go slightly slow on some of these images because this is very, very unique landform which couldn't be found in anywhere. I'm not sure, but I think probably this is the only places you can find this type of landform, not even in other part of China. So if you're careful enough to pay attention to this image, you will realize there are two persons stood in the image. Can you spot the people? I think not two, more than that, four of them, right? And you can see how tiny this people is. So this gives you a feel of the magnitude of this unique landform, the size, and how vast the area is covered. So in this image, again, you see a person stood in the image. In fact, we are quite reluctant to leave this place because even though we are staying not far from this park, as I said earlier just now, we are actually staying just at near the entrance spot there, where we either put a night in a container, make a container makeshift room, or we put ourselves in a 4 by 6 feet wide, the size of tent. But you're still reluctant to live here because we try to catch the evening scene of this beautiful, unique landform. And we are now close to late evening or late afternoon. And actually, you are free to roam around. You can see that from far, you see some figures, human figure. These are all the explorers, and they are literally, you can walk to any corner of this beautiful, unique landform. This park, call it a park, right? And you can see my shadows superimposed on this image. That is where the evening sun is right at my back. I wish I could have spent longer time here, although we just spent less than half a day. But we still managed to capture many, many beautiful images of this unique landform. I hope that this place, the route access to this place, and they have been improved to provide some form of accommodation for the tourists, because our time there is totally, I think, accommodation is almost nil in that sense. And this is actually the platform I just mentioned to you. Remember, you can see the step leading up and then the people will then stood around there and to have a 360-degree view of this beautiful park. I capture my shadow into the image. It's a long shadow. That means the sun is almost close to the horizon at the back of me. And these are the images nearby as we are approaching to this unique landform or this beautiful park. These are the landscape scene. Very, very unique as well. And when we putting a night in the middle of the desert, and I was fortunate to have this beautiful scene, crowds doing a presentation. It looked like 5 fingers appear in the dark sky. This is just a second before the sun disappears from the horizon. And when the night falls, you can see that on the right is the containers, make up rooms. At the same time, on the left, there will be many small tents being put up, and we will then enjoy our night stay in the middle of the desert. And again, a very beautiful image at night in the middle of the desert. Okay, so this will be my episode, the 3rd episode of my travel journey to Northern Xinjiang. And I can promise you the last episode of my travel to the Northern Xinjiang is equally interesting. So please stay tuned and on the coming Saturdays. And at the same time, please do subscribe, share, and like my travel channel. Please help to promote these travel channels so that more people will be like you, able to enjoy touring around the world virtually at the comfort of the home. I wish all my friends, fellow travelers, and photographers, please stay strong and stay safe, and hope to see you again in the coming weeks on the 4th episode of my travel journey to Northern Xinjiang of China. And bye.